Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, another in this little exploration of Lamy that I'm doing this month. And today is another of my favorite things video, and it happens to be another Lamy product, and it's actually this pen. This is the Lamy Studio LX All Black fountain pen. This was from I think it was 2019. Well, that's at least when I made my original video about this pen. It is the Lamy Studio model. I also have here the terracotta version of that pen. So you can see, apart from in some color and trim and things like that, it is a standard Lamy Studio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a very, very brief sort of parts and features kind of thing, and then talk about why this is one of my favorite things in my fountain pen collection. So, basics of the pen. As you can see, it is a very sleek all black design. It's a stainless steel body, which is PVC coated. So it's an all metal pen, and the trim on this version is black. So it's got a black flat top there and this black clip, which is a propeller shaped clip, or as you can kind of get the impression, it's kind of like a clip that has been sort of twisted onto its side. It's a feature that a lot of people don't love about the Studio fountain pen, but I think it's actually very cool. We get the cap swells, then a seamless little step down onto the barrel. The pen then tapers to another flat end. So the majority of this pen is this sort of matte black color, and then the trim is all in this sort of polished black. It is a snap cap, and it's a very nice snap. The particular model, the All Black LX, has a rubberized grip section, and then a black LX PVD steel nib. I have it here in the fine, and it came regularly with the extra fine through the broad, but because this is the same size as that Z50 nib, you can swap it out for any nib that fits that. So there's a number of LX style nibs, as well as the standard nibs, including the calligraphy nibs, which you can get. So that's cool. But also, this pen was also provided with a 14 karat gold nib, which I didn't get. I just got the stainless steel version. But for a little extra money, you could get that gold upgrade, which is kind of cool. It's a standard Lamy cartridge converter. It takes the Lamy T10 ink cartridge or the Lamy Z27 converter, which is the black converter. That's basically the parts and features of this pen. The pen retails for, well, I've seen it for 119 US, but I think the standard market price is 149. I've seen it for 189 Australian, or that sort of 239 full retail price, which I don't think is a bad price point for this pen. I think it's a step up from the regular Studio, and I think the Studio is a step up in terms of the Lamy output from things like the All-Star and the Safari. We'll do a size comparison now with the Lamy Safari fountain pen. It's a sort of standard pen that I do size comparisons with. It just happens to be another Lamy. And you can see I like this sort of terracotta sort of color here. As I said, the original Lamy Studio that I have here. Well, not the original, but the more sort of standard run one. You can see they're a very similar length when they are capped. It's around that 139, 140 millimeter mark, which Lamy make a lot of their pens in that range, and a lot of that has to do with the length of the converter in the pen, but I think it's actually a really nice length in the hand. Now, uncapped, you can see they're once again very similar length. A lot of that has to do with the length of the converter. Also got a similar nib that you can see. They've both got a black nib, the LX version having sort of that gold line down the middle of the nib there. Then we have the pens posted, and the Safari is a little longer when it's posted. The Studio does post very securely. There's a little click on the end there when you post it. I'll just, when it clicks onto that little bit of the end there. So it's a nice length when it's posted. It's very secure posting. There is a little bit of looseness in the pen, I will say that, and I'll cover that a little bit later. But yeah, generally speaking, it's a very comfortable, nice pen in the hand. So what are the dimensions of the Lamy Studio LX all black, well, 140 millimeters when it is capped. It's 126 when it is uncapped, so it's an okay size. I can write with this very comfortably uncapped. If you've got particularly big hands, you might not want to. Unposted, I mean. And posted, it's 153, so it's a nice, secure posted length there. The grip section goes from about 9 to 10 millimeters in the middle, so it's an okay size. And the pen weighs 27 grams, 18 in the body and 9 in the cap. So while you do feel the weight of it when it is posted, you feel that little bit of the back on the back there. It doesn't post so long that it's really held back in your hand. It's okay. So we'll do a super quick writing sample with it now. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, so it's a very nice paper for fountain pens. We have the Lamy Studio LX all black. So this is a steel fine nib, and the ink I have in this is a Lamy ink. It's from the Crystal line. It is Obsidian. I've had this in a few pens recently because I just really enjoy it. I actually reviewed it. I'll try and remember to link that review down below. So this, like Lamy nibs, I've never had a real issue with them. I know some people have. I haven't. This one for me writes very smoothly. There's a touch of feedback, but it's not scratchy at all. It's not gripping at all. And you know, it writes pretty wet. It's not too bad at all. Things like reverse writing are okay. It's not a flex nib. You're not going to get line variation. You're just going to put more ink down on the page. But in terms of everyday writing, it's consistent. It keeps up. I've never had ink starvation with this. I've never had issues. This pen has been in my collection for coming up on, well, around 4 years. It's been inked quite a lot because I enjoy it so much. I find it to be a great everyday writer. And so I think this is a really, really lovely writing pen. Good size in the hand, good form and function, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about now why it is one of my favorite things. So I'm going to start by saying one thing. Firstly, there is a little looseness to this pen, and to be perfectly honest, I cannot remember if that was the case when I got it. I've chosen not to watch my original review because I wanted to talk about the pen, how I feel about it now after all this time, and why it's in my, in my favorite things list. But there's a little looseness on the cap there, which might just be the fact that I've had this pen and used it quite a lot for a number of years. And then when it's posted, there's once again just a little bit of looseness there. Those are things I can live with. And the reason I can live with that, I'm going to start by explaining by talking about a couple of things that people have issues with the Lamy Studio model. Firstly, some people do not like this clip. The thing is, it's got a weird profile. It looks a bit different, but in terms of the actual function of the clip, it's perfectly functional. It's easy to get material underneath there, so if you're using things like elastics in pen cases or your shirt pocket or whatever the case may be, there's a nice gap between the clip and the body of the pen, so it's secure. But this, where it meets there, nice and secure, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's a functional clip, but also I think it's got a nice, interesting design. That propeller shape is unique, and I actually don't mind that. And I don't mind that on a pen that, apart from that, is quite minimal, particularly in this particular version. Another issue people have with the Studio pen, and I'm going to show it on this terracotta version, is the grip section. This sort of tapered, sort of section, and in a slick metal material, does become kind of slippery. And so I know a lot of people have an issue with the grip section on the Studio. What the LX version does well is that it's got a rubberized section, so it's not slick, it's not slippery at all. There's also this grip section on the brushed stainless steel version of the Studio, which is a standard run Studio as well. The only issue I have with the grip section is I'm not sure how it's going to come up on the camera, but there's this little bit of staining. So what happened with this is that it got some ink on it. Some ink got into the cap. I can't remember which ink it was. And since then, the grip section has been kind of mottled. Now, for me, that's okay. I'm using this pen as an everyday writer because of how it writes. I don't mind my pens showing their life. And in a way, that's really the only life this pen's showing. If we look at the finish on the material, it's all still pretty good. There's like a couple of spots around the edge of the cap that look a little bit, worn perhaps. But really, there's no major chipping, there's no major damage, and it has been in and out of cases and traveled with me and things like that. So having a little bit of like this sort of staining, giving this little mottled effect on the rubberized grip section, I don't mind so much. It is a very comfortable section. I actually like this shape, and I like the size, and I like the material. It's very, very comfortable to write with, and in a pen this size with that form and function, the feel in the hand is great, and that's one of the main reasons why I love this pen. I also aesthetically really enjoy the matte black finish with those little like polished black trim sections and that black nib. I think it's a very sharp looking pen. It's not ostentatious, it's not out there, it's very simple, and it's one of the things I love about the Studio line in general. It's a very simple pen, it's elegant, and because of this all black finish, it looks great. And the last reason I love this pen is the nib. Okay, you saw it in the writing sample. It's smooth, it's consistent, it's wet. It's not super fine for a fine nib, but I would have to say this is probably one of my favorite nibs from Lamy in my entire collection. The nib that came on the Idios, that extra fine, was really beautiful. Didn't love the pen model, but loved that nib. That was one of those ion-shaped nibs. I love the nib on my Lamy 2000, which is a medium, and I love this nib. I've got a number of Lamy Safaris that I enjoy writing with, but this one, this Studio here, absolutely one of my favorite Lamys to write with. So, good form and function. Good, great nib. Nice, sleek, simple design. Fits my aesthetic beautifully. An okay price point, maybe a little high. If you can find it, cheaper price points around the place. Like I think I saw it for 149 Australian somewhere at one point, something around there. Like it makes it a really, really interesting pen. It's just a simple, elegant design. It writes really, really well. It's been reliable. It does everything it needs to do, and it's just a pen I really enjoy. So that's why this pen, the Lamy Studio LX All Black, is in my favorite things list. Hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of good stuff. And if you would like to support the channel, please get in touch. I would love to hear from you. It's your support that makes this channel possible. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, whatever they are, and I'll talk to you soon.